Another U.S. attorney appointment by Donald Trump blows up in his face, much like what happened with Alina Habba out in New Jersey. We're going to talk today about Trump's appointment in Nevada, someone by the name of Sigal Chattah. And we're going to talk about all her great qualifications to be U.S. attorney and what another judge said in a different district said about why she can't keep that position and why she's not getting confirmed. I'm Shant Karnikian. That's Brian Kabateck. This is Civil Action on the Legal AF Network. If you like this content, remember to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share with us your feedback. Brian, where do we start today with Sigal Chattah?
So Sigal Chattah, I don't think the public completely understands the significance of the U.S. attorney in each of the districts across the United States, the federal district. The highest ranking law enforcement officer in that district. Right. Very important. This is the state of Nevada, obviously an important district to have. Everyone's important, but an important district to have a qualified U.S. attorney. So she was nominated as the U.S. attorney in March of 2025, and then immediately was appointed as quote unquote the interim U.S. attorney. So what does that mean? Good question, Shant. That means for up to 120 days, someone can act as an interim U.S. attorney appointed by the president without Senate confirmation. But after the 120 days, they have to receive Senate confirmation. So that did not occur for Sigal, right?
That didn't occur. So her term was set to expire in, I think, the end of July of 2025. At that point, the judges there, the bench could vote on a replacement for her, the federal district court judges who are appointed under Article 3 of the Constitution by presidents, various presidents. And to avoid this, the Trump administration just extended her role for another 210 days and reclassified her as the acting U.S. attorney.
From the interim, they changed the name.
Yep, they just changed the name. A total bullshit move. It's an end run around the Constitution. They're trying to do that.
So the two senators who are both Democrats from Nevada said she's unqualified. She's a no. We're not going to agree to her appointment as the U.S. attorney. Yep. And the Trump administration, gave them a one finger salute, right? They said, so what? We don't give a shit.
Yep. So now she's been disqualified by since to avoid any sort of conflict, a judge temporarily assigned from Arizona, Judge David Campbell, a Bush appointee, by the way, not an activist, left-wing extremist, liberal Democrat appointee, a Bush appointee, ruled and disqualified her from 4 felony cases where the defendants there challenged her authority post this bullshit extension, the acting U.S. attorney extension.
Right. Which didn't throw out the indictments against these criminal defendants, but I think the court even went further in this and said she's not allowed to participate in any criminal cases in the district.
That's right.
And the prosecutors, this is the rank and file, the civil service rank and file prosecutors, loyal lawyers in those offices who are just doing their job, must file declarations indicating that she no longer has any involvement in those cases.
Within 7 days, they need to confirm their independence. The prosecutors need to confirm their independence from her in 7 days. So, I wonder how that's going to shake out.
Well, and this isn't the first time this has happened, and we've gone over this before on our shows here that, he's appointing people who were clearly unqualified. Jeanine Pirro in Washington, D.C., who was confirmed by Congress, by Senate. The U.S. attorney for Virginia, who I believe is still acting. She's not actually been confirmed. The former Miss Colorado third runner-up. And then, of course, you mentioned earlier the U.S. attorney for New Jersey, right?
Yep, Alina Habba. Yeah. So, let's talk about Sigal Chattah's qualifications. When I first heard, U.S. attorney, I assumed maybe she was a judge on the state bench or a very experienced trial lawyer, criminal defense lawyer, handled high profile stuff or high value cases, things like that. Nope. You look her up and you just see that she kind of had a run of the mill practice and nothing wrong with that. But you look her up and it's like her only experience with criminal stuff appears to be, at least based on her own website, which, by the way, I think one of the domains that lead to her website is like thegoodlawyerlv.com, LV as in Las Vegas. But she touts herself as a business attorney. And then if you go to the areas of practice, there's First Amendment, business law, tenant law, personal injury, drunk driving, and criminal law.
And drunk driving. So let's do that. That's a crime, right? That's what we call a misdemeanor most times. Sometimes it could be felony. That's a crime. Those cases never end up in federal court. As far as I know, at least in Nevada, they wouldn't end up in federal court. So that's one of her criminal experiences, I guess. But she has some very serious criminal, defense background where she was one of the lawyers who represented one of the 6 Republican fake electors. Now, these were people, Shant, that filed fake declarations, allegedly, that claimed Donald Trump won Nevada's 2020 election. And she represented one of these individuals.
Yeah. Deep experience handling federal criminal matters and federal cases. Deep experience. No, this is someone that, has a sort of run-of-the-mill practice. Like, if you just hear about those practice areas, you're like, well, which one is it? Does she do personal injury or landlord-tenant stuff or business law or drunk driving cases? I mean, which is it? There's nothing wrong with having a varied practice, but generally good lawyers specialize in one particular area, or at least, in at least civil litigation or criminal work or something, insurance law or personal injury. That's what you want to see. It's just kind of wild to see someone like this. So,
well, I think though, she does have one case here that's worth mentioning. She filed apparently a civil lawsuit in Clark County, which is the county where Las Vegas is located, on behalf of the founder of a group called Guard the Constitution Project.
Sure.
And the goal of the lawsuit was to decriminalize the harassment of election workers. And it was also to block criminal charges against those who targeted poll workers, arguing the actions were protected speech. So these are people apparently who, the people that she's representing are people that would scream and yell at poll workers and talk about their actions and what they're doing. And the case drew a lot of criticism for undermining election integrity, which, let's be honest, that's probably was the whole point.
Right.
Was to undermine election integrity.
That's right. So she defended those people. That's, doing God's work there.
Sorry, Sean, I don't mean to cut you off. You go ahead. I get on these and I just can't believe it because I know people who have been U.S. attorneys. They're incredibly qualified. They've come up usually through the ranks of the U.S. Attorney's Office. They're career prosecutors, or like you said, sometimes they're state court judges that are appointed. It's a very prestigious, but not just prestigious. It's a significant, important position.
It's an important role. Yeah. Aside from like the kind of, the honor that goes along with it and the prestige, put that aside. I mean, it's an important role. Again, it's not glamorous either. People do this because they have a true passion for being a part of the system. The system only works if you have effective prosecution, you have independent prosecution, and then you have effective representation on the other side, defense attorneys. So it's a key component to that system of our American criminal justice system, what keeps us free, what makes us a democratic country. It's an important piece of it. And the only reason she qualified for this is because she's a Trump supporter. She even, I think she's even had problems within the Republican Party. She challenged an incumbent from the Nevada's Republican National Committee, and she won that. She was the chairwoman for a while.
She ran for the Nevada Attorney General.
That's right.
In 2022.
She lost that. She had a good endorsement from a great man by the name of Matt Getz. So there's that.
That's
tells you a lot about her.
I mean, the problem is
loyalist. That's all it is. She's a Trump loyalist, and she runs in these circles with Pam Bondi and those other Muppets and cronies of his. So
for now, she's gone.
Yeah.
And we'll see. I mean, we'll see if the Senate has any courage whatsoever, any profiles and courage in the Senate to deny her a permanent position as the U.S. attorney, because that's the next step, is that they could approve her as the U.S. attorney. And then whatever the judge did, whatever rulings he made are void, and she stays.
That might happen. I mean, we'll keep up with this. It's an interesting issue. All of these issues that are popping up. Like, look, let's call this for what it is. Trump is making a concerted effort to place loyalists all over the country in various U.S. attorneys' offices, because that's what he'll use to intimidate his opponents. That's what he'll use to go after people that speak up against him and what he's doing. So this is part of the strategy. I'm glad a judge, and by the way, a Republican appointed judge, stepped in here and said, this isn't valid, this is unconstitutional, you can't do this, and she's disqualified. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, I'm Shant Karnikian, that's Brian Kabateck. This has been another installment of Civil Action on the Legal AF Network. Remember, if you like this content, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, please, and share with us your feedback. We love hearing from you. Your comments are great, your support is great. We're two practicing attorneys out here in California, but we do work all over the country. So if you have something you want to talk with us about, reach out to us. We're friendly, we're nice, and even Brian's nice sometimes. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one.
Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.